Welcome, everyone, to a very special July 4th episode of the EmpowerMAN podcast. It's your boy, Mikey G, coming to you live from the free state of Florida. And today, I am looking at the man who has a 5 handicap instead of a 6 handicap. He is the man who beat Medicare to a bloody pulp. He's the only man I know that the deep state can't control. He's the only man I know where sober girls around him act like they're drunk because he is like a G12. He is the man that Barack Obama, President Obama, wants to run on the Democratic Party, but he said, no thanks, no way. He can't be controlled. That's for our favorite liberal out there. He is the patriot, the parent, the friend, the champion of the Second Amendment. He is proud to be an American where at least he knows he's free and he'll gladly stand up for all of us. Greg A. Tedora, number one. Greggy T, what a week.
What a week. And happy future 4th, because that's in a couple days. So this will be airing the Sunday right after July 4th. So I hope everybody had an awesome 4th. I hope you have an awesome 4th. Too bad I can't be down there. And I will be blowing up the neighborhood, allegedly, because I got a little gift from one of our friends. Thank you very much.
It's awesome.
Yep.
They allow fireworks up there in communist Connecticut?
Absolutely not. I got some good ones.
I'm sorry.
Some old school ones.
Well, for all the people that live in Connecticut, I apologize. Connecticut's not a communist state.
Yeah, Mike, come on. Come on, Mike. It's so nice up here. The Northeast
is
great. It's great.
It used to be.
It used to be back there in the 80s and early 90s. Anyway.
So, an interesting, quiet week on the news cycle, huh?
As always.
Well, all kidding aside, man, I can't wait for this to get over. I just want to know what direction the world's going to go in and then navigate through there,
Just have your plans and have your stuff and let's get it done and we'll figure it out as always. We don't have a choice.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what's happening in France is very easily could happen here. Very easily.
Yeah.
If it's not, it's already probably happening already.
Yeah. I told you I have a lot of friends that are from other countries that see the similar things that happen in their countries, which they escaped from. Multiple friends from multiple different countries that are not good, went through some really bad times, and they say the same thing is basically hasn't started. It's already started. It's happening. So hopefully it doesn't finish the way it did for these other places, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it's funny because people feel bad for President Biden, and I've, as someone who tries to do the right thing, I do feel bad for him because that's what you're kind of supposed to, obviously compassion and empathy and all that. But I also wonder if the shoe was on the other foot, how would people translate that? If you felt bad for the other candidate, let's say President Trump was acting like Joe Biden was during the debate, I think the media would have had a field day. I think people would have had a field day in general, made fun of him, a lot of other things. And, I just find it's it's kind of a, I can't think of the term where not a paradox, but it's like, if the roles were reversed, I think you'd get a different response,
I'm sure it's all by design though. Like I said, I don't like politics in general. I think it's all bullshit anyway. So pick your poison.
Yeah. And, just for our country, just to get us through I do hope that, whatever President Biden's going through, he is our president, whether you like him or not, he's still in charge of us. You just got to support him, and I hope that people, no matter what happens in the fall, can have that same type of mentality. Like, look, at the end of the day, we're all American, Republican, Democrat, Italian, Irish, black, white, we're all the same. We're all Americans, and we need to start acting like that and coming together. And I've said it before, the last time we were fully unified was on September 11th. It
Mhm.
did not matter where you came from, nothing. I'm hugging strangers. It was it was
Yeah.
it was an unbelievable day. It's a day that you and I will never forget.
I want to give a shout out to one of our former guests, a true awesome Democrat. He won re-election, mayor of Tempe,
Ah,
Arizona, second term, Corey Woods, my longtime childhood friend. I'm very proud of him. He had his father down, the last Don we used to call him, Donald,
that's cool.
and he was there for the swearing in. Super excited for him, super proud. Tempe, you're very lucky because he is a truly good man and he has good intentions. And that's just an example. Even though I don't agree with everything, he's still my boy no matter what. And I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, and congratulations,
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, and
Yep.
you showed office that respect.
Yep.
And if you're listening, the Knicks championship bound, OG Anunoby, and we got our boy Mikal Bridges from the Nets. We're fired up. I know he's a big Knick fan, so congrats there, Mayor Corey. Um, I wish you all the best and success in your second term. That's great.
He's also killing it in the gym. So I'm very happy for him there too. He's lifting his weights. He's in good shape. So keep crushing it, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, dude. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And on the note of giving shout outs, as always, especially this July 4th,
Mm.
weekend, our EMTs, our firemen and women, our policemen and women, our first responders that are going to be working, that, work round the clock to protect us. Thank you so much for what you do for keeping us safe and sound.
Absolutely. And watch your asses on the 4th of July. Be careful. And thanks to all the military personnel out there, all their family members giving the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you for your service. Be careful. We love and support you and keep up the great work.
Amen to that. Amen to
Mhm.
that. Today's show is interesting because obviously with the news cycle over the last week, we talk about consequences. And the theme of this show today is all about consequences. We can go back to the origins of evolution and society, right? We talk
Mhm.
about Newton's laws, right? For every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. You
Mhm.
can apply that to any part of your life. And I think a lot of people don't realize for every action, there's a consequence, both good and bad. And, more times than not, I tend to fall on the different side of the spectrum in some of the choices I make, about 50-50. I want to be, at least 70-30, but we're getting there. We're a work in progress. I don't think a lot of people actually realize the consequences of their actions. And I'm gonna turn this first to like the dating world, right? So a lot of guys that we've known, in the past would have a great girl, and they would have stuff going on outside of them. And I wondered, like, how could anyone like think like that or do that, or knowing like
Mhm.
you're kind of hurting somebody. So Greg T, why do you think we'll start with dating, for example? Do people realize, like really, really realize the consequences of their actions when it comes to relationships? Or do they feel like, that person will stick around, they're not going to go anywhere? Or like, what are your thoughts on actions and consequences when it comes to relationships?
So I think it could be a little bit of both, meaning there are, and I'm speaking for both men and women. I'm not just labeling women. I think there's a type out there that definitely feels they'll always be around, like a safety net kind of thing.
Hmm.
So they'll still do whatever they got to do, knowing that person will still be there pretty much no matter what. And then the others, they don't realize their consequences. They don't take the time to realize exactly what they have, and they don't think long term, meaning if you're going to cheat, what is a couple minutes or an hour or a night? Is it worth ruining if you have a marriage, if you have a years long committed monogamous relationship? Is it worth it? Risk versus reward. If you're going straight numbers, of course it's not worth it. But people don't think that far ahead. They're just
Hmm.
that immediate need or want or whatever it is. And I don't know. I never really understood that. I don't
Yeah.
get it, but
Yeah.
everyone's different. So to some people, it might be worth it. And my simple answer is just be single, and then you'd have no worries. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I agree with you. And I also agree when you come into a relationship, everyone's going to have baggage, right? Where everyone's going to bring their baggage into it. And
Hmm.
I think people don't realize like the consequences of bringing that into a relationship,
Hmm.
and I think where people fail is that they lack the self-awareness, especially if you're prone to maybe talking over people or you're a negative attitude or whatever it might be. After a while it can actually turn the other person off. They can just kind of walk away.
Mm.
What advice would you have for somebody that's about to get into a relationship and they've had kind of like shortcomings in the past, and they
Hmm.
get all amped up like this is going to be a great, it's going to be different, I'm going to do this, but they get the same outcome. So really, to really phrase this appropriately, what advice would you have for somebody who has failed at relationships in the past due to behaviors that they kind of generated? You know what I mean?
Well, I think the example you said, they were going in with the right mindset. They were excited. They were looking forward to things. Like, I think that's the right thing to do. Clean
Mhm.
slate, open minded. But there's a true open mindedness, I think, that should be obviously with both people, not just one. You need both to have that. No matter what, especially as you get older, everyone has baggage. It is what it is. You're not going to find somebody that's super white piece of paper clean. It's impossible. So I think knowing that, which is totally fine, it's instead of going in thinking, oh, everyone has baggage, looking at it negatively, listen, let's just get everything out on the open. When the time is right, I'm not saying like the first hour of a date. I'm saying when the time is right, maybe you just put it all out there. Both of you put it all out there, which is fine. You're definitely going to hear things you don't like, and they're going to hear things they don't like. That's fine. As long as I've said this before on the show a million times, purely no judgment. That is the key, in my opinion, to moving forward clean slate. I don't care how much baggage either of you have. If you're open minded and you guys are on the same path and have the same vision or outlook, it is all good. It can be cool, but it's very hard because it's continual work. You just got to talk.
Mm.
And if you ask questions, be careful what you ask, or you shouldn't be careful what you ask, but if you're going to ask me a question, I'm just going to tell you. You might not like the answer, but at least you know I'm being honest.
Mm.
And that's cool. I respect that. That's a two-way street. So if I ask somebody and they tell me something, there's a chance I might not like the answer, but it is what it is. That's their answer, and I have to accept it and be cool with it.
Well, to go along the lines of judgment, I think one of the things that clouds people's judgment, social media.
100%.
And I think people don't really realize, and I'm going somewhere with this, the ramifications of how social media can really impact their world. Um, Greg, what are your thoughts on social media and consequences? And will it have a short-term and a long-term effect on someone's personal and professional success? We'll branch it out in two parts.
100% professional. That's an easy answer. A lot of companies will look up your LinkedIn, your social media, all your platforms. Let's just lump it. They'll look at everything.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something that they don't like, I'm not saying wrong or right, that they don't like, which is their right, it's their company, you're not getting that job. So it does have long and short term business consequences for your actions. I don't really feel the need you have to post every single thing. I understand people want to be like risky or mysterious to get likes and all that, but just know that that decision might cost you down the road. If you're in high school doing some shit, it might affect you getting into college. If you're in college and do some shit, it might affect you getting that job you really want. You might have to settle because and then you have to hopefully reapply and then that goes away and they don't see it and then they might take you back, but it definitely has consequences on the business side. Personal side, yeah, I mean, you can meet somebody that you think is awesome, they come across it and they're same thing, they're not comfortable with it, which is their right, and they don't want to pursue you even though it could actually be a great fit and could work out well, but you blew it because maybe something you thought would have gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah, and I really kind of didn't want to mention this, but I want to mention it. The viral Hawk Tua girl,
I just saw an
right?
interview with her. Yeah,
Right. I mean, in a
she's
week,
so young, man.
right? And everyone's like, it's a funny meme, and
Hmm.
I've seen shirts even down here in Delray. So I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
this girl could be set for life. And I guess if you're an employer, or if you're dating someone like, or maybe you're dating her, or maybe someone who puts it out there like that, and
Mhm.
you see her do a video like that.
Yeah.
As a guy, Greg, do you think she would be taken seriously, or do you think she would be pigeonholed into a certain category?
Being as young as she is, I think she's definitely going to be pigeonholed at least short term. And short
Right.
term, I mean, it could be 5 years,
Right.
whatever. She's so young, and she's a Southern girl, so I don't know how much play that'll get. But there are certain companies out there, and it's the social media platforms, the influencers, and the some of the fly by night like product companies. They'll make millions off her,
Yeah.
no problem. But maybe she doesn't need a long term game. Maybe if
Right.
she's smart with money, she can make her quick buck and be done. But it's all to be seen. And it's just weird that that's what's capturing America's attention. And that's what's getting all the play and stuff like that, which is, yeah, it's cute and funny for a second. But she like broke the internet with that. It's still going. It's insane.
Right.
And it's
So
like, it's
yeah.
crazy to me. It's crazy.
So how do you not judge this girl for that one video?
I
Like,
don't judge the girl. She's so young. We were all young. I mean, if people judge you and me would be freaking screwed.
that's
I mean,
right.
really? If I'm going to judge her on that, I have no right to do that at all. At all. I don't judge her. Listen, they catch these kids coming out of bars and shit. They're probably drunk, having a good time, answering questions. Imagine someone stopped us back in our 20s, leaving the Red Rock in the state we were in, and asked us questions like that. We would say the same thing, if not probably more outrageous shit. Can't judge a girl like that.
That's true. And people are under a microscope now more than ever these days. So it's just like back
Yeah.
then, we
Yeah.
weren't really aware. We didn't,
Yeah.
well, I can speak for myself. I didn't care,
I didn't
you
care.
know. So like, no one, there were no recordings, no nothing. It was just word of
But there
mouth
wasn't
and
all this instant all
right,
across the world
right.
recognition. So do I think she can definitely be pigeonholed, and I think there could be negative repercussions, but it's yet, we'll see. But I think, will she be taken serious? It depends on who you're asking. If you're asking like adult males in the business world, no, she's just like an entertaining 5 minute funny thing.
Right.
But I don't think people take that serious.
No,
But the youngsters nowadays take it serious because she might cash in on some coin, doing some one off or a t shirt or fucking, I don't know. And I'm not hating. Do your thing. Be smart with your money. So it
yeah,
just depends. I think the whole youth is completely different from us.
100%. And now the expectation is like, if
Now,
you
how do
do,
you one up her? Because there's people now out there like,
it's
wow, this girl crushed it. What do I have to do or say to one up it now and get my chance? And it's like a never ending cycle of just like, come on, people. And I'll be honest, I'll throw this out there. Like a girl like she's so young and stuff. Like, you know what I'm gonna say. Like she's probably not even that experienced and doesn't even know what she's doing. But whatever, I'll say it.
right. And you mentioned she is young, and
Yeah.
we can look back on our actions
Hmm.
in the past and be like, yeah, we were lucky, but it's like we also knew what we were doing. Like I knew what I was doing. Like it's not that I was just so like,
Yeah.
where I didn't, right? And I
Hmm.
think these girls and guys that go out in social media that go quote unquote viral, or they
Yeah.
do that, they gotta know we can blame it on their age to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like, like when back in the day we went out and partied, like we knew the consequences. It was a story. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we were just like, what kind of stories can we tell, or what can this or what that? Now it's like, I'm sure it's the same, but it's also like, well, now like, you go to, let's just say this girl goes to school and gets her degree and wants to try to get a great job or something. They're gonna go and see, oh, the Hawk Tua girl now works at my law firm. You know what I mean? So the expectation, I think people perceive that as, oh man, I'm gonna try to see if she'll Hawk Tua. Like do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it
Yeah.
becomes now you've kind of pigeonholed yourself.
You're like a
pigeonholed
gag
yourself.
gift, You're like a trick play or something. Like you're like a party trick. And that's
Yeah.
hard to be taken serious. It just is. Call it what it is. And I'm not hating on her.
No,
If
not
I
at
were
all.
her, I'd be smart and make your money and then dip and go underground forever. That's
Not
what
at
I would
all.
do.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't hate. I don't judge.
No.
It's just, you got to pick and choose your spots. You got to pick and
We say this
choose.
all the time. One bad decision can really change the trajectory of your life.
Right.
Young kids don't get that. We didn't get that either when we were young. I get it. But like one bad decision can really make your life tough.
Yeah. And when you're younger, like we were, I just thought I was invincible.
Of
And there
course.
was also a part of me that didn't care if I was dead or alive. That was number one. But also number two, I I really just thought I was like, oh, that's so good. I mean, I'll chill out when I'm 30. It's like, okay, I'll chill out when I'm 32. I still have one more year of this. Next thing you know.
Yeah.
So, I think people need to understand, like, no matter if you're like your children, right? You're teaching, right? As you're raising them about consequences and actions and timeouts and all that stuff. I think as adults, especially young adults, like, hey, go do your crazy stuff, turn the cameras off. Because you know what? Your actions will have a consequence. And that's something
How
that
many
people
times did
understand.
we have parties in Montauk or wherever and collect all the phones? No phones. And everyone had a good time. No one had to worry about anything. Just collect all the phones. When you want your phone, they're over here on your way out. Like it's a great idea. A lot of these celebrities have security and doctors on call and staff for a party and no cameras. It's for a reason. It's a great idea. You don't have to worry about getting caught up in any BS.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine like having someone like that's so foreign to me. That it's just such a weird thing to go to a party and have someone take your phone. I mean, all the stuff that we did, oh my god. But
Yeah, or you ever have somebody you put all your phones in the microwave.
Yeah.
You don't turn it on, you just keep them in there. And that way nobody's listening, nobody's doing anything. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, when you're young and you think about your consequences, it's like, well, if I would always think, oh, well, I'll just stay single for a little while longer, and then I'll settle down, and then you realize, oh, well, another year, another year, another year, another year. Next thing you know, it's like,
I never put a time on it. I was just like, when I meet the right person, when that is, and it may never happen or it may happen. I don't know, but I'm not like, oh, I got one more year in me. I don't like putting numerical labels on things. It puts unneeded pressure, in my opinion.
yeah.
There's enough pressure out there. Like, oh, I'm 32 and I only have 3.5 years of this. Like, no, you don't. You have whatever you want.
Yeah, and it's conforming to society's norms. I think when you're at a certain point where it's like, okay, like I'm gonna this is the point where I'm
Oh,
gonna
you're
slow
40
down.
and single? Like, yeah, I am. So what? It's
Right.
also by choice. But no one ever wants to talk about that.
Right. And it's also to the point where you don't really know yourself. I don't think. I mean, at our age, which is 26, give or take, we finally know ourselves.
I'm still trying to figure other things out. I don't think I fully know myself 100% yet. I'm still figuring it out. But that's not, everyone looks at that as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You should always try to be searching for better or more. And I don't mean more materialistically or money. I mean more with yourself.
Right. Like at 40 something, well, we're kidding. As a 46-year-old man, right? I know what I'm looking for. If in a job, in a partner, in a relationship, in a friendship, it's like, it's not like, oh, well, he gets arrested a lot, but he's a cool guy. No, that's just something I don't really want to be around. No disrespect to that individual, but I'm just saying, like, I don't want to be around people. Like, I know the people that I want to be around. And I think, as you go through life, especially in your 20s, you kind of want to hang out with people that do crazy things because you want
Of
crazy stories.
course. That's it.
As you
I
evolve
agree.
and you start making better choices, and you know
Hmm.
what you want versus what you don't want. So,
Yep. That's it.
what about consequences at work, Greg? When
Huh.
an employee decides to, maybe shortchange the company, or what if an employee decides to take shortcuts, or, people don't really understand the ramifications of the choice they make and the consequences because it can impact them for the rest of their career.
Yes, it could. It should in certain examples. I've seen it all. I've seen employers do that, and I've seen employees do that. So when I managed the big real estate office, consequences were big for me, and holding people accountable was huge. I'll go to bat for you all day. But if you didn't do something right or illegal, I am not cool with that because now you make me liable. My license is in jeopardy. I can get fined. The company can get fined. And guess who the company's going to get mad at is me.
Mm,
You're not going to be putting me in that position. I'm the only one that can put myself in that position, in my opinion.
right.
So I used to hold them very accountable, which that's how I was brought up in the industry. I fucked up. I owned it. No one else. And that's it. But I think I think employers should be held to a higher standard because if you do for one, now you have to do for all. So
Agreed.
sometimes it's hard to say no to a great employee, but you have to do it for the bigger picture of the company. And I think so there's obviously a chain of command like owner, manager, and agents. Okay.
Right. Hmm.
And obviously, if I hold the agents accountable, they don't like it, they go above my head to the boss. The boss should back my play.
Right.
When they don't, then in my opinion, why am I here?
Right. I agree.
They should manage themselves. And then if there was an office that managed themselves, they'd be fined and shut. I'll be very nice in probably 3 months because they would
Mm.
break every rule, every law. They'd be fined. They'd have to shut down. So you have to back your person's play. However, I've been in positions where they didn't do that and they put me in a bad spot. And I don't think that's right to do
Yeah.
because you undervalue and you show that there's no respect there. So once the respect is gone, you're never going to get it back.
Yeah. And
So,
I think too, when you talk about your consequences or your actions at work and those consequences, it's like, well, whether you want to work up the corporate ladder or you're using a job to further, why wouldn't you want to put out your best effort? Like, why would you want to, like, just do things like I've never done things kind of like haphazard.
yeah,
I've either gone all in or I'm all out and I'm done.
I agree.
you know so why do you think, what's the people's rationale, I think, in regards to, like, if you're in a job you don't like and you choose to, like, act out, I mean, why not just quit or resign?
Or just, figure out an exit strategy where maybe
Yeah.
you interview and get another job, then just quit. It's all good. I agree. It's like a relationship. Just don't be in one if you don't want to be in one. If you don't like the job, then do whatever you have to do to get out of that job.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I've
And
done it too.
we're not saying make irrational decisions,
Of
obviously
course.
decisions made.
Plan properly and then leave. I would
Yeah.
never quit a job without having another. I was
Same.
always taught that it's unless under like super extreme circumstances, don't
Right.
quit a job until you have another. When you finally have one, then just leave.
Yeah.
Just leave.
And again too, one thing is that, I mean, people may not think about it when they're younger, but as you get older, it's like how you act and how
Mhm.
you treat people at your job and how you interact with other people. And if you're dealing with clients or customers, it's like, you
Yeah.
always want to make sure, obviously, you want to be personable, but you also have to realize, every interaction you have has a reaction. So there's a certain way, I think, I
Yeah.
feel you should carry yourself in these workplace communications.
I agree 100%. You have to treat people the right way. A
Mm,
story, I was just saying this the other day to a friend of mine. When I used to work down in Miami at the Carillon, the Canyon Ranch project down in North
yeah.
Miami, we dealt, so that's a non-union state, so there was a lot of non-unions, which is cool, whatever. And they had a lot of, it was a big project, so the bigger the project, you usually have day laborers. So it's people that are, ex-cons or out of jail and people out of work, and they do a day labor. And you hire a group of them to do whatever tasks there are on that job site that day. That we always had at least 50 to 100 every day because it was just a big project. There was always things to do.
Right.
And like I was in charge of gate number 2. There was 3 gates. And I had, I don't know, 20 day laborers. And I liked that the day labor company that we used would let us keep the people we liked. So I got to know a group that did really good work. And I were just requested them, keep requesting them. And they liked working with me because there was just a mutual respect. I was never, I'm your boss. Like,
Right.
no, I'm in there with them, showing them how to do it, and just respect. That's all it is. And I don't talk to them. I'm not cursing at them. I'm not yelling at them. If they fuck up, you can have man-to-man conversation without yelling. And there's a time to curse because a lot of these people from the street, a lot of them did a lot of jail time for numerous things. Whatever, I'm not judging. It's all good. They paid their price and they're trying to find work. They have families.
Right.
I don't hate.
That's right.
And I remember one of my bosses, I had a few from North Carolina, like one of the good old boys, used to call him. He would come down and I remember he had my group huddled up and I'm like walking over and he's like laying into them. Fuck you. You need to do that. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this guy just said F you to a guy that just did 14 years. Like, what do you think? Do you think that guy has any care in the world to murk you in the parking lot after work? He'll just shoot you at your car. He don't care.
Yeah, sure.
So when I let him do his thing, I don't step on anybody's toes. And then I'm like, all right. He's like, Greg, you got this from here. I'm like, yeah, I got it. He goes away, and then I just rehuddle everybody because they're ready to freaking lynch this guy on Collins Avenue.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, guys, what the fuck just happened? And they told me what happened. I'm like, all right, fuck that guy. Don't worry about it. Let's do what he said we have to do so he leaves us alone and we can continue on what we got to do. I'm sorry he spoke to you that way. He should never. That one little apology, which I meant, paid dividends. And then I bought them all lunch. Something simple. I can have those guys rob a bank for me today if I called them in Florida. We built such a bond because it was, listen, their job is hard enough. It's 100 degrees. They're doing like day labor shit. It's hard. It's hard work. And it's construction and all that. And it's just how you present yourself to people. I spoke to one of the guys. Now, I knew his past. I'm not going to put it out there, but he did some time for some bad shit, like violent crimes, whatever. Nicest guy. Him and I got along well. And he was like, Greg, there's just something in me. I just want to get this guy. And I knew what he meant. Like, I'm not dumb. And I'm like, you know what? You're doing good. You've been out a long time. Like, you definitely don't have any leeway whatsoever. Like, if you do that, you're done. You don't get to see your kids, your wife. Like, you're done for life. Like, you're gone. That piece of shit's not worth it.
Right.
Just if you want 5 minutes to go curse or whatever, you tell me. And then I'll say, go take a walk or go take a break or whatever. Go do what you got to do. He's not worth it. And I've done that. I did that a few times because it got to that level. Probably saved that guy's life like twice. No bullshit. And that guy was a real piece of shit, man. Just not that common courtesy to people. And the consequences were he just didn't have the respect of anybody on the job site. And he never understood why no one liked him. No one wanted to work for him. No one did what he said. And then he would get mad at other people like me where they had the respect. You got to earn people's respect.
Right.
Just because you have a title, I don't respect you. I don't care if you're older than me, if you have more money than me, if you have more experience, if you're more educated. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You got to earn my respect from the ground up. And it's not hard to do. And it pays dividends. And it was crazy, man.
Yeah, that's a great example. As per leaders, we talk about the employee, but as leaders, I mean, you have to realize the consequences of your actions because you're kind of molding and shaping someone's career and their career path. but B, we always remember who our favorite or our best bosses were, or people
Yep.
to work for or work with. And
Yep.
that can really have a lasting impact on someone's career. So
Yeah.
you really, as a leader, need to make sure that you really think carefully about the consequences of the decisions you're going to make, because it can really make or break someone's future. And you don't really realize that at the time.
It's such a good point. One of the best jobs I ever had, I was lifeguard at Siwanoy Country Club in Bronxville. My
Yeah.
boss, who I'm still friends with to this day, his name is Chris. We were tight, man. We went to the gym together. We played basketball. We barbecued at his house every day. We drank after work. Like, it was tight. It was cool. But at work, he taught me at 8:30, I'm not Chris, my homeboy that I drink beer with and barbecue and play basketball. I'm your boss. Go clean the fucking bathrooms. And I'm like, what? And he could be a dick during the day. He's doing his job. I'm not saying he was a dick to be a dick. He ran a great ship. The pool was always on point and clean, and people knew. But I also knew, I learned then, you can be friends. You can be real good friends and work together, but there is a respect during work hours. And I remember to this day, clear as day, and I really respect that, and I like that about him. He was a great leader. He was a great
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah.
Fun, outgoing, like talk shit. It was great. But when it's time to work, do your fucking job.
Right.
And then he could be a dick. And then when we leave, close the pool at the end of the day, let's go to my house, barbecue, everybody. Let's go. Let's get some beer and drink. Like, it was
Right.
great. And there was no
Right.
talk of that because it was pure separation, work and play. Awesome. Great example. Good guy.
And again, for people that are in a position of power and authority, heed these examples as a way to cultivate your style, so that
Yeah.
you can lead people, because everybody wants to be led at the end of the day. I don't like being spoken to
Nope.
or like spoken at. I
Yeah.
want to be spoken to.
Yep.
So I think, again, it's one of those things that we need to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
As leaders. And I think the last thing I want to touch upon here is consequences for the family. Right? We are value the nuclear family. We value the family unit. We long for the days of Sunday dinners and the family getting around the dinner table and like the way it used to be. And I feel like we need that more than ever.
Yeah.
You watch it. What I liked about Blue Bloods was that every part of the show they would show the family dinner. Right? It's awesome. Like, who wouldn't want to have dinner
Oh, that's
with
awesome.
Bridget Moynihan and Donnie Wahlberg and Tom Selleck? That'd be awesome. But it also triggers something in us of a time that feels like it was so long ago, where it's Sunday dinner, or like, hey, Sunday's family day. And I think, consequences, that the choices that we make. Greg, what do you think, when it comes to the family? Do most people really understand their actions, and how that can affect someone in your family life?
So my immediate circle that has kids, whether they're married, divorced, or whatever, single with kids, they get it. So to answer your question, they do, which shows you my type of circle that I have. But I see people outside of my circle, no, they have no clue. They don't care about tradition. They don't care about setting new traditions. No, it doesn't mean anything to them because they probably didn't have it either.
Mhm.
So it's just continuing that cycle. And the people I know are all about that, and as am I. Absolutely. And you can always, it's never too late. You can always start a tradition with your kids. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about people that we talked about it earlier, about, people that kind of do things on the side, and how
Mhm.
that can affect the family, and that can have long lasting effects, especially if you have children, and their development, and how they can carry some of that baggage
Mhm.
onto, so as a parent, how do you, how are you able to separate certain variables, so that, you know, the actions that you choose around your kids have positive consequences, not negative consequences?
So it's hard when there's lack of sleep and you're frustrated and tired and you've had a bad day. But what I've learned, especially with my youngest, raising your voice, and sometimes it just doesn't work with kids. And as naughty and as bad and as not listening as they may be in that moment, You just got to remember they're only like Ruby's 3, or she's going to be 3. She's only 3. They don't even have conceptually hardly anything that we can. They can't, you know, they can't understand certain emotions. They can't understand certain words. They don't know. So you can't be like, why don't they understand? Like, because they just don't know it yet.
Right.
So you have to remind yourself and just remember, talk. I'm always doing my best, and I'm getting better all the time. Talk softly and calmly. As frustrating as, like, I would watch her literally just pull Farrah's hair, like walk up and just pull her hair and walk away. And then I got Farrah crying. She pulled my hair. That's another story. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, Ruby, why'd you pull her hair? She goes, I didn't pull her hair. I'm like, you're too. I just watched you. Oh, I go, no, we don't do that. We don't put hands. And then she gets upset. I didn't do it. I literally just watched you do it. So it's like you can get frustrated, but you just got to remember, with kids, it's like a broken record. You got to say the same thing over and over again. Then it'll eventually register, and you got to stay calm. And the whole thing is consequences with my girls. So they have a better life, better social life than you and me times 10 combined. They always have play dates and they're going places, and it's amazing. They have the best life. However, they know if you mess up after a certain point, things starting to get taken away. Play date might be canceled now.
Right.
Or we were going to go get ice cream this weekend. Well, that's off the table now. You got to earn it back. That's my big with me. You got to earn it back. Like, timeouts don't work anymore. They actually don't even get timeouts anymore. But they were super young. They understood like timeout. Like they have a favorite doll or whatever. Doll gets timeout, and they would freak.
No way.
And I'm like, listen. And I let them cry. I'm like, listen. I understand you're upset, and I get on their level. I understand you got upset. However, this happened because of this. I understand. Do you want baby back? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, let me show you how to get baby back. And that's a lesson in there. Like, okay, you got to wait a couple minutes, calm down, apologize to your sister, and earn it back. And once they do all that, they realize they get it back. And you do it enough where I don't think I've given a timeout, and I couldn't even tell you how long. Usually it's like, hey, listen, things are going to get taken away if you don't, shape up. So it's consequences for bad actions. It's also rewards for good actions.
Right.
Like Farrah was a great big sister. She's always a great big sister, but she was like extra the other day. Like, put Ruby's clothes away, put her shoes away, put my shoes away. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then, you know what? You get like 5 minutes more of something before we get ready for bed. Like positive consequences too.
Right.
And they're learning consequences, pros and cons of doing things and listening. And also when they make because I'm like, everything's choices, and it's hard for little kids to understand, but like you have a choice, this one or this one. If you choose this one, this is going to happen. Consequence. If you choose this one, that's going to happen. You choose. And then once they choose whatever it is, you got to stick to that so they learn.
Right.
It's funny to watch, but it's also cool to watch because you could see it now working and them thinking more now. And that's them saying, wow, if I keep messing up, there's bad consequences. And that's what I want.
Right. So you're getting your child to think. You're giving them the autonomy to think.
Yeah. And to choose and to understand consequences of choice.
Right.
Like we got cookies the other day, of course. And and they baked muffins the other day. So Farrah was like, I want a muffin. And I'm like, and then she saw her cookies. She goes, I want both. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I go, you have a choice. You can either have your cookie or your muffin. But no matter what you choose, you cannot have the other after. Save it for the other day. She didn't like that. But she finally understood. Here's my choice. She goes, you know what? I want my cookie. And she never asked for her muffin again. And that's a huge win. Because normally in the past, can I have my muffin now? Can I have my muffin now? Like, no, you can't. So it's little things and it's little victories like that, which will lead long-term to bigger ones.
Agreed.
When there's more at stake for them.
Agreed.
So,
you're getting them from a young age understanding consequences and actions. And I think, you don't see that a lot with parents anymore because they're not really doing the parenting.
No, the parenting that's a topic for another day. Parenting, there's like two styles now, parenting and non-parenting. There's like hardly anything in between now, but it's also everyone's definition of parenting is different now. So they all watch these stupid shows on TV and they think that's real. And parenting is like a lot of parents, both men and women, they just think they look at kids like accessories or little dogs and bags or toys.
I agree.
And it's not, it's a human, it's a little baby you created. Like that is not that. And that you're not doing them or yourself any good. Any good. Then you have the others that actually parent. And you see that when a parent that parents walks in with their kids versus parents that don't parent and they walk in,
right,
2 seconds, you can see which parent's which. Kids are on point.
Yeah.
Kids are a mess. That's it.
See them from a mile away.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think, we covered a lot of topics here today, Greg, with consequences that comes to parenting. Obviously, Haktua, that too.
Make your money, girl. Make your money.
Yeah, go for it.
Be smart.
And have fun. That's it. Have fun.
Don't get trapped.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think, being able to think before we actually do anything and understanding like what could happen, both good and bad, is something that needs to be practiced. And I think, again, people really need to understand now more than ever the consequence to your actions, both good and bad, I think will have long-lasting impacts on people's lives. Greg, what are your thoughts as we wrap this up?
I completely agree with that. I just take an extra second to think about something. Is this the right thing to do? Yes or no? And if you at the time think it's yes and it ends up being no, it is what it is. You can't go back, figure it out, fix it, or take your lumps on the chin. That's all you can do.
I agree.
And just don't do it again.
I agree. I agree, man.
Yeah. I
agree. Well, July 4th will have come and gone by the time this gets there. I hope people that, listen, are listening, have a great 4th, had a safe 4th.
Yes.
And realize, man, we're getting closer to November every single day.
Yep. And it's just starting to heat up now with the ugliness. So we'll see.
Yep. Pray for world peace. Pray for turmoil, or pray for to kind of quell the turmoil around the world, especially here in this country. And I just hope someday that we can all get along again.
What I tell you months ago, Africa.
Yeah.
And it's starting. So, and that's not even the country I was talking about.
Yeah.
Africa. It's all on deck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably going to work its way up here. So just be safe out there, everybody.
Be safe. Watch your kids.
Keep
your kids close. Arizona is the #1 hub for trafficking.
Yeah.
Arizona. #1 hub.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like Grand Central Station for trafficking.
Yeah.
Be careful.
100%, man.
Yep.
Well, Greggy T from the free state of Florida.
Yeah.
I am going to sign off. We'll
see you all
next week.
Have fun on the boat, sir.
God bless America, and happy 4th of July, everyone.
America first.